Welcome to part 2 of Powerful, Purposeful Play for Infants and Toddlers, a presentation by Michelle Buell. The amount of social interaction that we see in a child's play can be described in these next 6 levels of play that we see. The first 3 levels of play are typically seen in a child birth through age 2. And Mildred Parton has developed these classifications, and they describe the amount of interaction that a child actually has with others during their play. The first one is unoccupied, and that is exactly as it sounds. The child maybe watches momentarily and then becomes uninterested and plays with their body or looks away. And that is one of the first level that we see existing. So it's only momentarily involved with others around them. The onlooker level of social play is when a child is watching others play. And we also see this often during the ages 0 to 2 years. We also might see some children who are a little bit older standing by the side and watching others play, and maybe not joining in, just offering suggestions. But we see a lot of very young children simply watching others play with interest. Solitary play is when a child is playing by themselves, and we do see this often, as I said, in ages 0 to 2 years. And you can see this little boy is playing alone in the sand. We see a lot of activities with children where they may be playing alone with their toys. Infants do this a lot. If someone isn't intentionally engaging with them, they would just automatically play that by themselves. So that's the third development of social play. When a child is engaging in parallel play, parents and educators sometimes mistakenly think that they are playing with friends. But we see children engaging in parallel play when they're playing side by side with similar toys, but they're actually not interacting with one another. These 2 little girls are playing with similar toys, but they're not interacting with each other and cooperating. So they're, in a way, sharing the toys, but they are not cooperating or communicating with each other about their play. This is the fourth level of social play. Here we see associative play. These children are playing with similar toys, and they are interacting, but there is no set of rules. Their interactions are more haphazard, and they are have established no set rules of their play. This is the fifth level of social development of play. We've explored the different types of play and the social development of play. Now let's talk about how to create purposeful play experiences with our children. Remember that simple activities are play to infants and toddlers. It really might not be things we actually think of as play. We might not realize we are playing with our children when we do these things. Simple things with the youngest infant, like eye contact and imitating them and them imitating us, and repetitive activities are play for the youngest of children. They really love imitation, and they really love repetition. Those are things that give them the best experience with play with us. During those experiences, they're learning to communicate with us, and they're bonding with us. We want to make sure that we are letting our child be the leader in these experiences. With our young children, we make sure that we are really in tune to what they like to do, what their preferences are. Some babies like lots of bells and whistles and lots of noise, rough and tumble play, but some like more calm play, and it might depend on the mood that your child is in to determine what kind of play they prefer. So we want to make sure that they're leading the way. We can get right on the floor with a baby, make sure we're taking care of all those safety precautions, make sure that all of the room is baby-proof and there are no obstacles in the way. Remember that really you are your child's first toy. You're their favorite toy. The most interesting thing in the world to a baby is the parent or the caregiver. We want to give our child as much support as they need in order to succeed at their play, but not so much that we're taken over. So, for instance, if our infant seems to be looking at an object, we might bring it closer for them to see. And all that time, we should be narrating what we're doing, narrating what they're doing, narrating what you're doing, and language. It becomes a very language-rich experience when we do these things. If a child is a little older, for example, a toddler, they may be struggling with putting a piece of a puzzle in the wrong spot. Before we see them becoming too frustrated, we could suggest they try a different spot. So you want to give enough support without taking over, so that they're still experiencing the play and the problem solving themselves. As we begin to consider what kinds of toys would be the most beneficial for our children to enrich their play, we need to remember that they do not need to be expensive toys. We walk into a toy store and there's so many things that claim to boost your child's development, maybe claim to make your child smarter, but we want to remember, especially with electronics, that the more the toy does, the less the child is doing. So we want to make sure that the toys are basic and they provide experiences that the child is really going to be the one doing the most activity. And so in this way, simple toys are best. Simple things, actually, first of all, we consider no toy. A child, like the picture up in the corner, is crawling to the mom. You are the most important toy that the child will ever have. Natural toys, like outdoor toys. We go outside, we're able to play with sand, discover the grass, play with water, even at something as simple as a cardboard box. How many times have you gotten your child a toy and they love to play with the box more than they like the actual toy themselves? Parents always express frustration at this, but a cardboard box is a perfect example of something that is open-ended, and the child can really create out of that box anything they want it to become. And think about the imagination that's developing from such a toy. When we pick toys for our children, we can consider other household items that can be useful as well, other than cardboard boxes. We might choose to pull out all of our plastic bowls or spoons. Water is hugely helpful. If you've ever had a child in the bathtub, you know that. Water is just the most fascinating thing that they can do. They can also be filling and dumping buckets with water. Blowing bubbles is a fun activity. And even old clothes, using them as dress-up experiences really help to develop a child's natural tendency for dramatic play. Toys that serve a variety of purposes and are open-ended can really support brain function. Blocks, any classic toys that we would use. Rattles for shaking, blocks for building, toy cars and trains, any toys that help with problem solving are hugely important. Shape sorters, nesting cups, this ring stacker this little boy is using is helping to develop problem solving skills and organization. Toys that support dramatic play can be kitchen toys, household toys, or tools that support the child's imaginative play. Lastly, toys that grow with your child are the most economical ones that you can buy. Toys such as figurines or toy animals, things that a child might use at different levels or different ages for different purposes. This concludes the second portion of this presentation. Please join us for part 3 in this series of 3 videos.